Good morning and welcome to Coffee and the Word. You know, I never know when I wake up in the morning what the verse of the day is going to be, and so I don't really get to plan what I'm going to say. And this morning I woke up and the verse is 5 words, I think, maybe 6. But it says this: When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. And I thought, we've talked a lot about this, and I don't know, maybe I ought to do something else. And then I read the context, and I thought maybe this is exactly what we need to talk about. You see, one of the things that I've noticed is we're pretty good at trusting God when things are going the way we want them to go. Like we're pretty good at, giving God a little bit of, thanksgiving and praise when our money is coming in the door, and we're able to keep our health, and we don't have a lot of people attacking us, and so it's like I trust God for everything. And then the moment things become chaotic, we tend to put our trust more in our own devices, and we start living life the way that glorifies the worldliness instead of God. And so I wanted to read the context to you, and then we'll talk a little more about it. But it says, "Be merciful to me, O God, for my enemies are in hot pursuit. All day long they press their attack." Let me just tell you what's going on here. The Philistines have seized David in Gath, and while he is basically being attacked by his enemies and pursued by his enemies, he writes this prayer, this poem, because David was in constant communication with God about his reality. And so he starts the poem, he starts the psalm with, "Be merciful, O God. Be merciful to me, O God, for my enemies are in hot pursuit. All day long they press their attack." And he goes, "My adversaries pursue me all day long. In their pride, many are attacking me. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust and am not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" And so David's got this situation here that is probably pretty dire. Like he's got an army that want to kill him. And this has happened through David's life. David is probably quite used to this, actually. But if you ever get used to that kind of thing. But David's got this army that is wanting to seize him, and they're chasing him, and he's probably hunkered down somewhere, and he's writing this poem to God because that's what he does. Anytime we find him in a moment of distress, or we find him in a moment of glory, or we find him in a moment of repentance, or David tends to share it with us in Psalm. And the Psalms that he writes are so unbelievably valid for our own reality, right? How many times have we been crying out, have we cried out to God, "Be merciful to me, O God"? And maybe it isn't about enemies. Maybe what we're asking is God to be merciful and heal someone that we love. Maybe it's be merciful and solve my issue with poverty. Maybe it's be merciful on me, O God, and just help me navigate the day. Be merciful on me, O God, and help me with my anxiety. Be merciful on me, O God. And whatever it is, we've cried out to God for his mercy. And there's a part of us, there's a big part of us that knows that God is able. We know that God can do it. But I think there's another part of us that's not sure he will. And I don't want to challenge you because I don't know where you are, but from my perspective, I've often said I've never doubted the ability of God or the power of God. But I have doubted the goodness of God. I have doubted that God would be willing to be good to me, that God would be willing to be merciful to me. And so this phrase in verse 3, which is the verse of the day, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. This is the key to living the life that is productive and powerful. Because fear is going to assail us. Like we don't really control that. And I think that's one of the things, there are suggestions. I remember when my kids were young, I would tell them, why are you scared? Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid. Like, there's no reason to be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. But y'all know that just comes, right? It just, that fear comes from a lot of other things. And so David is telling us, when that happens, when fear assaults me, when fear comes in on me, I'm going to make a decision to trust in God. I'm going to make a decision to let God fight my battles. I'm going to make a decision to let God, to believe that God is going to lead me through. That doesn't mean he's going to believe that God isn't going to allow him to endure some stuff. Doesn't mean God is going to deliver him the way he wants him to. In fact, that's the whole point of trust. I believe that the way you deliver me from this is the way it needed to happen. And so when I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you. And then I love verse 4. He says, my adversaries pursue me all day long, and their pride many are attacking me. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust, and am not afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? I've got God. What can people do to me? And I'm going to go a little bit further, because this is probably going to ring true with some of you, because maybe one of the things that is really bothering you right now is that there are people who are assailing you. Maybe not with spears and swords, but with words. And that's what David says. He says, all day long they twist my words, and all their schemes are for my ruin. They conspire, they lurk, they watch my steps, hoping to take my life. Because of their wickedness, do not let them escape. In your anger, God, bring down the nations. And so, here's what I want to encourage you today. Maybe in the midst of so much fear right now, what we need isn't more fear-mongering, but a whole lot more praise-giving and trusting in the God who is able to deliver us. Trusting that God is working things out in a way we can't even imagine, for a future we haven't even considered. When I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. I hope this helps you. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This has been another edition of Coffee and the Word.